Hello, hello, and welcome to Two Tickets, Please. No, let me try something different. Yo, what's good? Welcome to TTP. Good morning, and welcome to Two. No, hold on, wait. What if it's not morning when you're listening to this? Okay. 안녕하세요, and welcome back to Two Tickets, Please. I'm your host, Nalin, and here's a fun fact about me. I am technically fluent in Korean. As long as the only words required are hello and thank you. Now, you might be wondering, how did I learn this? Well, I'm one of billions around the world to be swept up by the Korean wave. And if you don't know what I mean by that, then keep listening because we're going to break it all down for you in this episode. Did I say we? Well, I meant it because joining me today is the reason why I'm even somewhat K-cultured. She's a singer. She's a model, she's an actor, a playwright, a public speaker, a humanitarian, an HR professional, an army girl, and most importantly, my god sister. Welcome to the pod, Abisaini!
Yay!
Abi, I just said a lot of nice things about you. What do you have to say about me?
You're pretty cool. I have
Thank
lots
you.
of nice things to say about you, Nalin. You are kind-hearted. You are my mother's son that she never had. You are a part of my family, and I'm very lucky to have you and Gitu in my life.
Well, thank you. This podcast was definitely not set up just so I could hear good things about myself, but that always does help. But, honestly, I was hoping you would use words like idol or bias to describe me so that I could smoothly segue into today's topic. But fine, here comes an awkward pivot. I guess to put it briefly, the Korean wave is like a cultural tsunami, which brought, addictive music, dramatic stories, and flawless skincare to the rest of the world. Now, whether it be bands like BTS or filmmakers like Celine Song or icons like Psy, we've been seeing Korean artists shine pretty brightly in recent times. And I think it's fair to say, Abi, that you have a love affair with South Korean arts and entertainment. Tell me, when did the sparks first fly? What was the first thing that caught your ear or your eye?
This is a great question because it really has sent me down a reflection on my last many years. And I thought my journey started in 2020, but it actually started a long time before that in 2012 when I was in science class and two of my friends introduced me to Korean drama and the phenomenon that is Lee Min-ho. So a lot of people who get into K-drama start with the drama that he's in. And I started with Boys Over Flowers. Back then, these were 20 plus episodes, and I was so committed to watching them. And I was in awe that romance can be portrayed so beautifully like that. That the OSTs, so the original soundtracks, could sound so incredible that you could feel butterflies even if you didn't understand the language. And so then started my interest in the Korean world. And then in 2020, I had the privilege of coming across this random video on YouTube where it was a Jimmy Kimmel show, and I just happened to click it. I don't know what prompted it, and it started with a little bit of a band piece and walked in the 7 incredible men that were going to change my life forever. But the first person that walked in was who I didn't know then, was called J-Hope. And he just glided in. He was phenomenal as a dancer. He just had this groove and this funk that really attracted me. And I was like, I don't think I've ever seen anyone dance like that. And then started the endless video watching of BTS, their dances, the music. And here I am, now 5 years later, after my love affair commenced. And you said at the start, a tsunami, I could say soon, army commenced for me. And ever since, it's been an excellent journey.
Well, I mean, I'm sure we're going to hear a lot more about BTS as we go forward, but I think I have to call out your shirt right now. Can you explain where that's from?
So I obviously 2020 started COVID, and then BTS happened for me, and I was very much occupied over the upcoming years. And something that they sparked for me was to allow me to create a deeper connection with that creative side. And I started making some shirt designs and jumper designs, and this is one of the things I designed. But I can't take much credit for this because these are BT21 cartoon style characters that represent the BTS members. And so I put this together and I elongated my name so it would look a little bit a little bit more symmetrical, and I made versions of this for my friends as well. And at the back actually is the most significant part of this jumper, which lists almost all of the BTS tracks, and I've chosen fonts to represent what that song I feel like would look visually. And yeah, so that's kind of what the significance is of this. And we can't really get much merch here in Sydney, so I decided I would create my own.
I mean, that's a pretty good idea, I guess. And if this becomes a thriving business, would BTS get a cut out of that?
If I can meet them, I'd be happy to discuss the cut with them directly.
That's a pretty good deal. That's a pretty good deal. See, for me, it was very different because I I think my first exposure to any sort of South Korean content was Gangnam Style, and that's probably the case with the other 90% of the world, right? Because we hadn't really watched. I didn't watch K dramas growing up or BTS or nothing like Blackpink weren't really around, obviously then. But Psy, when he came onto the scene, and then I think what caught my attention was, hold on, not only is this a really catchy song and it's a really strange but funky dance move, but it just went viral. Like it was at one point the most watched YouTube video of all time, right? And even now, it's probably got billions of views on it, and it was like an overnight success almost, at least for the world. I'm sure Psy had been doing a lot of stuff in Korea for many years to get him there, but for the rest of the world, it was like this went viral, and then the next month he's like doing concerts in Sydney and the US, and we're on, and he's on like TV shows, and so I think that really caught my eye. I was like, hold on, what's this? And because I love dance numbers, because I love to see choreographed dance, that was like, hold on, this is something cool. And it almost felt like it was the original version of what now we all do for Insta or TikTok dances, like where everyone takes up a routine and tries to replicate it. I feel like Gangnam Style was one of the first ones where everyone was trying to do it, the horse and the everything. So yeah, I think that sort of brought me into it. But I'd say my second sort of into K culture was you, because you had mentioned that you watch K dramas and that, oh my god, they are so cool. And so I was like, okay, what's this all about? Because I was like, no, I'm a cinephile. I should watch this stuff. I should be cultured, and I'm missing out on clearly a large version of what the world is watching. And you suggested to me, I think, to watch a show called What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. And so that was the first K drama I watched, and I was like, whoa. It's so interesting because I think growing up, and you might have seen this as well, there were a lot of like South Asian soaps or serials that would come on TV, right? That maybe our parents would watch. And I was obviously exposed to those. But it felt really different to watch a K drama, even though one could, I guess, make a case that they're all sort of melodramatic romance stories. But what is it about a K drama that is different to an Indian soap or something like that?
I also grew up in a very similar setting where my dad and my grandma, his mum, they would watch dramas, like they would get it on a cassette and they would watch it, and it would feel like for the 30 minutes, not much really happens. Like it's all very dramatized, doesn't really accelerate the plot, but they're so intrigued by it, and I'm really invested in it. And so I think I was exposed to that world quite early on, but because, we didn't have exposure to these platforms that we do now, I probably disconnected a little bit more from that and invested most of my time in what was accessible, which was movies on DVDs. Um, but then I think once we got Netflix and Prime and all of that, everything was just so accessible. You didn't have to go through like these dodgy websites. I'm not advertising illegal behavior, but you didn't have to go find a website that is showing this drama or this TV show, whatever it is. And now I felt like when I decided that, not even decided, when I fell back into the Korean scene with the Korean dramas, I also just happened to be suggested What's Wrong with Secretary Kim. And that's how I came back in and started watching a whole heap of dramas. And I think the difference for me is that these are a little bit more uh, shorter, like it's 16 episodes or it's 12 episodes. So you feel like the end is in sight. Whereas sometimes with what I've found with a few Indian soaps that they tend to go on for quite some time. And I think I have trouble waiting to find out what's going to happen. And this is a little bit more like I know that there's the 16th episode will come out on this date and I'll be able to watch it. I also find that there is something in the stories that can be a little bit different to what I've conventionally experienced, which might be family drama. But I like the murder mysteries or the way that they explore like different parts of society that two lovers come from. And I think that it's really creative in how they explore it, but also visually, it's so appealing. Like it's very clean. It's very the backgrounds, the locations that they select. It's just so appealing to the eye, and you feel like you're just engaged throughout the drama. And also, you kind of have to be, because if you can't understand the language, you have to have your eyes on the screen the whole time. So I think that it's like it feels very refreshing to watch. Mm. And I'm going to make a plug for one of my favorite dramas. And it's not everyone's favorite, but for some reason it's just something that I always go back to, and it's called Suspicious Partner. And it's got Ji Chang Wook in it, and I really enjoy him because of that drama. But I think that had a lot of different. So it was, to give you a bit of a summary of it, it's a legal drama, but there's a lot of humor. There's a romance sort of storyline. You explore a lot of different cases through it, the complicated nature of certain relationships. And I just think that the way it was done was so excellent because you are constantly engaged with with this underlying story, but also those little cases that they explore through each episode. And I found that to just be something that I don't even feel like I really experience with any other TV shows. I also think that because it's a different language, and I grew up watching a lot of different languages, not even just Tamil, but Hindi or Malayalam. And so I think that I've always had a liking for how the different cultures approach a particular storyline. And so it just kept me on my feet, kept me engaged. And I think that's kind of what's a little bit interesting about this space is visually, the music background, and just the storyline as well.
Yeah, oh my god, I totally forgot about Suspicious Partner, but that is, yeah, such a great shout. And I totally agree. I think one of the things that really stood out to me was how pretty the pictures are. And it's so hard to describe what I mean by that until you see it. It's very, I think at times it almost becomes comic book-esque or like webtoony, because I know I can't remember which show this was, but they almost like cut to this like animated or cartoonesque picture at the end of the episode to show some of like the settings or the scenes as a recap of what happened in the episode. So whether it's them holding hands and it's raining and they've got umbrellas out, or, those really sort of
Yeah.
romantic pictures. Yeah, it is just such a nice sort of, it's like eye candy as well. You just get a lot of eye candy through the shows like
Yes.
that. It's hard to look away. Why now though? I mean, why do you think we are watching, not just you and I, but generally people who enjoy South Korean shows like K-dramas, why are we watching it now? Like, why has this only come about in the last decade or so? Why hasn't this been something we've been doing all our lives?
I really think it comes down to exposure. Whether I think we just have so much exposure now thanks to social media that we, whether we like it or not, on our For You page on Instagram or TikTok, these things come up. And I think that's why, a lot of the things that have gone viral or people are aware of, it's because it's come up on social media and that's prompted interest, and then that person has gone and, looked things up. And, like Squid Game, for example, was like off the charts. It was topping in various countries. And then I remember thinking, guys, like Korean dramas have been around forever, and this is not the only excellent one. There's a lot of phenomenal ones that you're missing out on. But I just think it's like the way I've noticed society kind of operates now is it just takes one person to like trigger this is really, really good. And then other people like jump on that bandwagon, and then suddenly like everyone knows about it. But I think that that's why people firstly know. The second thing is that, like I said earlier, with our platforms, we have it available and accessible to us. I think when things are too difficult, we don't want to go and, search for it and try, and we just give up. Whereas now, you can see it right there. It comes up as, the top watched in Australia or top watched in now you're in the UK. So I think that is something that's made it really easy for us. But I'm curious to know whether you've experienced otherwise, if you've noticed other things that have made it more popular now.
I think there might be some political reasons to this too. So with Korea, obviously they're a pretty young civilization, right? I mean, they had the Korean War in the 40s and 50s, and once they split off from North Korea, then South Korea was pretty poor as a country. So I think over the last 50 to 60 to 70 years, they've obviously gone strength to strength with other industries, right? Whether it be like Hyundai making cars or Samsung making phones. I think it was in the 90s, if I'm not mistaken, when there was like some economic crisis in the country, and the government realized that, hold on, arts and entertainment can become a really profitable industry and export for South Korea. So they started supporting and investing in that more. So it encouraged people to not just tune in, but it also made it more accessible to people outside of South Korea. And locals were more encouraged to partake as actors, as performers, as artists. I don't know if you have seen this show on Netflix. It's called Pop Star Academy. And it's a very interesting show. It's one season so far. I don't know if they're going to do another one, but what they've done is I think it's by a massive production company. Maybe it's Big Hit or Hybe or something. But what they've done is that they've set up this Pop Star Academy. So people who want to become K-pop stars come in and get trained up in terms of dance, in terms of vocals, and in terms of like how they present themselves, like media trained, to become pop stars. And by the end of this long multi-year process, some will get selected into forming a new group, like a girl group in this case. And all of this actually takes place in LA. But the reason that this happens is because they've set up like a parent company in Korea. So you're seeing that South Korean companies and labels are also investing in that internationally. So they're deliberately trying to create similar kind of entertainment outside, very still heavily influenced by Korean style. Yeah, that's probably quite a driver for why countries like the US or the UK or wherever else are starting to embrace it, because it's happening in their countries too.
I actually recently went to my high school reunion, and I met with one of my friends, and I told her, I actually got into K-pop. And she was like, oh my gosh, like now you understand what it felt like to be us in high school, because they had done some performances back then. And so we were talking about it, and she had spoken about how she had done a dance recently from a song from K-pop Demon Hunters, which everyone is talking about, which is on Netflix. They had done a little dance and they had gone viral for it. So like 2.1 million views or something ridiculous like that. But I think that a lot of people nowadays are getting really involved with K culture and K pop through, utilizing their own creative energies with connecting to the music and doing dances and sharing videos. And I think even when they're out in public doing it and they're playing the music out loud, the bystanders that are watching are hearing it and like, oh, what's that? And they ask about it, then they're intrigued, and then that causes a little domino effect, and people then go through, go watch it and learn more about it and hear the songs and so on and so forth.
Now, when we say K-pop dancing, what's the song that you think of?
Instantly, I think it's because you said it at the start of the podcast, but
Okay.
Idol came to mind.
Yes.
Because
Absolutely.
they just pop off in it as a unit, BTS. Mhm. But I don't know that. I think because you mentioned it, my brain was
Sure.
wired to think of that first.
Well, tell me about BTS. I mean, now that you've brought them up, and I'm sure they'll keep coming up, but what is it? What is it about BTS? I can see it on the surface, right? I mean, I have liked some of their songs, most so probably their dance numbers, because that's what I'm most interested in, right? So things like Idol or Fire or
Yeah.
Dynamite, A Boy with Love, great, right? I love them, but you are at a different level, right? Your love and your affection for them is surpassing all of that. So, what is it about BTS that makes them so special?
It's really hard to summarize all of this in just one episode.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And
But
I should tell the audience actually, Abisaini has a PowerPoint presentation. So if you want to see that, and if you want to know more, like this episode or comment below, and then Abi, maybe we'll have to bring you back, and you can do the PowerPoint for that.
I'll do it. No worries. Prezo BTS 101. So I think to give you a bit of context, and it might get a little bit deep, but so there's this saying that I've heard a lot of ARMY say. So ARMY, for those who don't know, are the BTS fan base. That's what we call ourselves. Mm. But they say that BTS finds you when you need them the most. And I think that that is so applicable for my life, because I came across BTS. The exact date was March 18th in 2020. And that was when I saw that first video of them on the Jimmy Kimmel show. And it was actually 2 months after my mum had passed away. And so I was at a low. And I think that life just felt like it didn't quite make sense, because for me, there was a sense of emptiness, and there was a space that was filled by a lot of love that ceased to exist in my world. And I think that for me, not to say that BTS replaced my mum in any way, but I think what they did do for me is they reminded me what it felt like to feel so loved, to understand that my truest form is love, and that all I really needed to do, this love that I was searching for elsewhere and I was receiving externally, really should come from within. And so they have an album that is literally called Love Yourself. And I think that they did something to me, and like, they did something to me that I can never quite put into words, but I felt like they lifted me from down in the trenches up back onto earth to say, you can still keep going. And that love that you are looking for elsewhere, you don't need to look anywhere else. It's within you. And I think that for someone who, was lucky to experience such selfless and such grand love through my relationship with my mother, I think BTS managed to give me a way to honor that and to still feel that while also, like picking myself back up from wherever it is was that I was. And I think also spiritually speaking, that's something that, my guru has also spoken about, which is that love is our truest and most, that is our truest form. So I think that it all kind of aligned for me. It was like the trifecta, my mum, my guru, and BTS all aligning for me to, yeah, to really rely on and um, come back to life. And I think that their music itself, they've got great, pumping dance numbers and really great songs that you can sing along to. But there are some tracks that really deeply resonate with what a person can feel internally, whether it's about uh, the things that are happening in their life, their own mental health journey, what it can feel like when you feel alone. And there's a sense of hope that they give through their music as well. It's kind of like, we understand you, we see you, and now here, this is what it can feel like to have a bit of hope. So, one of my favorite tracks is Magic Shop. And this is one of those tracks that I always go to because it has the ability to pick me up. And while it's not in English and it's in Korean,
Mm-hmm.
there's something that when you hear the line, you feel what they're trying to say to you. And I'm going to read it to you.
Okay, yeah.
The line is, on days I hate being myself, on days I want to disappear forever, let's make a door inside your heart, open the door and this place will await. It's okay to believe the magic shop will comfort you. And so what that means to me is that they're telling me that when it's really hard for me, that if I just open this door, inside there, that they say this magic shop is waiting for you. But I think for me, I get to define what that magic shop is. And for me, that is my mum. That's all the people that I love. That's my guru. And it's just all sparkles and love and pink light. And along with them is BTS saying that, it's going to be okay, that we're here with you and you're not alone. And another thing that they always say is you'll never walk alone. And that's what I truly feel when I listen to those lines. And I think that that's why they're as special as they are, because they have managed to um, allow me to feel warm and whole, even when I thought I would never be able to. And I think beyond that, as a group, I think that they have achieved unbelievable heights that as a Asian group, and I think also because I am from a South Asian background, I haven't had the ability to see a lot of, people that, look like us or have come from a similar background or upbringing be so successful and be so well known. Like BTS is the biggest boy band in the world.
Yeah.
And I know like we're likening them to like the Beatles. They were the biggest boy band in the world. And so I think that it's phenomenal to think that these guys have invested their energy and their time and, conquered something that typically I feel like when we're growing up, our parents wouldn't say like, oh, you're going to become the biggest singer in the world. But no, they have achieved that, but all the while being true to themselves, being really great people. Although I don't know them one on one, I think that the way that they've conducted themselves, and really have gone into my my army mode. But I think even being under the leadership of Kim Namjoon, who is also known as RM, he is someone that learned English by watching Friends, and he is the leader. He's the spokesperson for the group, and to be the spokesperson for a group of 7 people that don't really know English and still be able to convey to the audience what it is that they want them to know is excellent. And he's also, mind you, incredibly smart. He's done really well in school. And it's like he has done that and he's doing this. And it's just, I think it's nice to think like, oh, like you can still get like like straight A's and be an incredible, successful performer, which is something that, our parents would be like, no, 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 you need a regular job. You need to, you know, become a lawyer or a doctor or whatever it is. But this guy's managed to succeed at all of it. And I think that that is quite admirable, because it just feels like a relatable story also for, the likes of us who also have that creative passions, but we also are, committed to our day jobs and whatever it is. But I think it's just nice to see that you can do it all, or you don't have to sacrifice one for the other. Like watching them manage to do that, be successful, and also then go out and share the message that they're trying to share with the world, which is that, they, with each of their songs, there's meaning behind it, and they're able to convey it. And the beauty of Kim Namjoon is that he is someone that is also willing to accept when a mistake is made and to revise it and learn from it. And I remember very early on in their journey, although I was not ARMY then, I've watched a lot of videos about it where they were called out on some of their lyrics being misogynistic. And so it was something, they were quite young when they started as well, so they may not have had the awareness for it. But since that comment was made, he invested time with having the lyrics reviewed by professors, with other like people who are very well versed in understanding, like linguistics, to
Yeah.
check these lyrics and make sure that they are suitable, that they are not offending anyone, and just having that awareness and investing that time to make sure that you are being inclusive, that you are not hurting anyone through your music. I think that that is such an admirable quality, and I really look up to that and appreciate it. He's really set the standards high. And I think that I feel like now as an avid lover of music, I almost don't accept anyone that's not willing to make the effort that he has made.
Do you know how it works in terms of what kind of creative control do they have over their work? I mean, I'm assuming that because they're backed by a massive production label, that the composition, the choreography, they have teams to help them with all of that. So what is their involvement like actually in their actual work at the end?
So the company that they're affiliated with, which previously called Big Hit, now Hybe, when they started, it was really not a big company. It was not one of the major ones. JYP, YG, they were the big entertainment giants. Whereas they came from a very humble beginning, where, yeah, they did have choreographers, and they kind of took, they participated in lyric writing and all of that. But I think more so now, with a lot of their lyrics, the members are actually involved in it. With production, they are involved in it. Obviously, there are external parties for certain tracks, that, may contribute. I know that RM, particularly Sugar, they all that's what they enjoy doing as well. They like lyric writing, so they are heavily involved in that. They also have their own production studios where they record from. So I wouldn't be able to speak to kind of maybe the percentage of involvement, but I know
Yeah.
that it's kind of a varied process where some of the tracks heavily involved, some maybe not so much, but all of them are involved in different ways. I think from a dancing perspective, while they do have an excellent choreographer, and now even those who choreograph has diversified since they've gone more global, J-Hope has a big say. He is their main dancer, and so when he dances, you just can't take your eyes off him, but he has a lot of contribution to that, and how and kind of what they deliver. And he's a very strict dance teacher as well. So all of them get a little bit nervous when he's watching, but I think that they are a bit more involved with what they put out.
What does it mean to be part of ARMY? What is that cohort like? What is that? I mean, you're obviously spread out across the world. You probably don't know everyone else who's ARMY, but you're sort of bonded by this one love for BTS, and you probably do know some other ARMY members. But what does that mean? Is there some sort of, I don't know, special ritual that you do because you're part of ARMY? I know you celebrate their birthdays.
Yes, we do. We definitely do and did that in the past. So, just to give you a bit of insight, I have one of my cousins, Ninety. She was an army well before I was, and I just didn't quite understand the concept back then. And I am very ashamed to say that I did make fun of her, but now I'm on that side. I've grown up. I understand the value of being an army and
Justice for
an F.
90. Justice for 90. But anyways, keep going.
But yeah, so I think that since I became a fan, I also made a few fans around me as well. Shout out to Dakshna and Shahana, who are also army.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, although for us, we're also friends, but we really enjoyed kind of watching their online concerts together because we became fans during COVID, where a lot of things were hosted online. So we would gather together at my house and watch the performances, and it was just incredible because I think we were never sure if we'd get the opportunity to ever watch them live, and we're still hopeful, but I think that was a really nice experience for us to have. And 90 and I have also, I think our bond also grew even closer because we had this other avenue of exploration, I guess, together where, she would teach me things, I would show her things. We have filmed some dancing reels together. And I think what being an army tends to do is it just sparks something. As soon as you are talking to someone and you're like, are you army? And they're like, yeah, are you? And it just instantly, you're like, we're best friends now.
Mm-hmm.
And it just feels like, um, I think there's something that connects you about their music. We start talking about our biases, which I will explain. And and I think that Army as a unit, although like we said, I don't know them all, you can see them on social media, you can run into them when you go to watch a BTS movie. And I think what you notice with all of them is they are just so smart, intelligent, um, very excited, very warm-hearted people, really, because I think that they all understand what it means to love this group and share, their feelings about the group. And when they share reels, they take the opportunity to appreciate fellow army. So they understand that BTS
Mm.
is it's not just them, it's actually us as a unit, what it means for us to experience them coming back from military and for them to go back into shows and sharing information about what's happening or where concerts are or this movie that's upcoming on Wednesday, um, where you can watch it, or they they're very inclusive and welcoming people. So I think that has been my experience with them. And yeah, and we all tend to celebrate or remember the birthdays of the members. I used to cut a cake every time and call my friends and listen to their songs that day. And BTS will come on what was then called V Live. So they would do a live and just kind of talk at me as they cut their birthday cake as well. And that's been a really nice experience, very collective and wholesome experience.
Yeah, it sounds like, and I think BTS has probably acknowledged this on many occasions, but they really value their fans, right? They really value ARMY, and it's a large reason why they are where they are because of the
Mm,
support and the love that they get.
yes. Yes.
So yeah, it's actually pretty incredible to be honest because you likened them to the Beatles, and I think that's a pretty fair comparison because the kind of aura and the kind of just this wonderful perception that they've been able to create for themselves in the hearts and minds of so many is no joke by any means, right? It's not just that it's very different to, when the kind of obsession that maybe Justin Bieber had when he was really young, or the obsession that One Direction might have had. This has been a lot more long lasting. This is a lot bigger. So yeah, okay. BTS Army is it an exclusive club? Like, how does one join? What does one need to do to qualify to be Army?
You've just got to have heart that appreciates and understands what BTS is here for. And I think that your army, you don't need you don't need to have a membership card. You don't need to know all the songs, even. You just need to have the heart to appreciate them. And as long as you have that connection, that's all.
Can blinks be allowed into army? I need to ask this on behalf of my cohort. So for context, blinks are the fan base, the name of the fan base for Blackpink's fans, and I subscribe to that fan base. Not that I'm heavily involved in any blink activity per se, but yeah, I just need to sort of ask this question because I think this concerns half of the world.
Half of the world, okay. Um, we are very open-minded, and we welcome
Say that
all.
with a straight face, Abisaini.
No, it's only because I love the blinks too. I'm just laughing because I'm saying it to you. But we are open-minded and very welcoming. Just because you like someone else doesn't mean you're not allowed here. Because if that were the case, then I wouldn't be allowed in either because I am a fan of a lot of other people as well. As long as you don't bring any negative energy in, or think of any competition or a bit of a comparison game, that's obviously not welcome. But we, as long as, like I said, genuine love and appreciation for what BTS is here to do, welcome aboard.
Amazing. That's a very good public service announcement because I think a lot of interested people will take that advice very strongly. Actually, this reminds me of a moment that I remember sharing with you.
Mm,
It's a very random memory I have, but we're sitting in, I think it's your car or my car, I'm
mm.
not sure. We're sitting in a car in a car park in the parking lot of some shopping center. And the reason we've done this is because you know what I'm talking about. The reason we're sitting in this car is because we have to go somewhere, we have to meet someone, but everything has to stop because BTS is making a comeback. And they're about to, this new song of theirs is going to go live. It's been announced. You are off the charts excited. And so you're like, I need to stop doing everything else and just listen to this. So we go to the car, and you were very grateful in allowing me to share that with you. And yeah, just witnessing your excitement as Dynamite came on. We were on this tiny phone screen, just like pushed it against the dashboard, and like Dynamite comes on, and I remember half watching Dynamite, half watching you, because the entertainment value was just compounded. What is a comeback? I mean, explain that to us non-believers.
Non-believers.
Well, I'm a believer,
Uh,
maybe to others, but
a comeback, honestly, initially it was a bit hard for me to understand because in the Tamil cinema industry, a comeback means they're coming back after like 7, 8 years of hiatus. But it's very different in the K-pop world or the K world. Um, it's actually when they're really just introducing a new song. That's what a comeback is. And so, yes, we were blessed with the opportunity to watch Dynamite together. And that was them coming back with this track, which was actually their first all English track. And I think that was an even bigger phenomenon because that for us was like, oh my gosh, we actually understand every single word they're saying. And it was fun. It was not meant to be anything of a serious song. It was just meant to spark a smile, spark a little bit of enjoyment. Their choreography was fun. I still remember there were a few tributes to Michael Jackson in that as well. And it just felt like uh, something that they gave as a bit of a gift for me at that time to the non-Korean speaking army. It was kind of like, we see you and this one's for you, sort of a track. But there's a lot of different groups that do comebacks across the year where they come out with a new song, and typically that's attached to an album of various other songs as well. So it's a really big thing in Korea, and they have performances on big stages and army or any other fan groups will gather and watch these as the group does their performance on that stage, introducing the song in person for the first time, and that's sort of what it looks like.
And earlier you mentioned this word bias. So actually, I brought it up too. So if I'm understanding this correctly, a bias is you love BTS, you love the group, you love all 7 members of them, but maybe you love one more than the others. And you don't necessarily talk about it too much, but there is a bias. So who's your bias, Abi? Come on record. And let's make this known to the world. Who's your bias?
My bias is J-Hope. And that's because he was the first one that sparked my interest. And that's where the love, it was like love bubbles around me. So he was the first one that brought me in. That's why he's my bias. And there's also something called the bias wrecker. Do you know what that is, Nalin?
No, what is that?
A bias wrecker has the ability to outdo even your bias in various instances, depending on the circumstance. And my bias wrecker is Jungkook.
I knew that was gonna say. I knew you were gonna say that. This is just a cop out. This is like I can't have one bias. I need to say 2 names.
No,
I knew
but
Jungkook was gonna come up.
If it were up to me, I would honestly, I think I've over the last 5 years, I've realized I'm an ot7 girl. So ot7 means that there's 7 of the members, and I'm in for all of them. Like I love all of them. So some people don't choose a bias. They will just say that they're an ot7 girl. And I think I've kind of grown into that space because every time I talk about one, I think about how another one is so excellent or another one is so excellent. And all 7 of them are so unique in their ways that you're right. I feel like I've got to scrap the bias wrecker system and just say, love them all.
You've waxed lyrical about BTS for some time, and I need to share we need to share the stage with some of the other artists that I think are doing some great work.
Okay.
So I need to ask you this question, and I think it's been a long time coming. What is it going to take for you to be a proper fan of Blackpink? What do I need to do to convince you?
Not sure there's much you can do. And I don't mean that negatively because I've actually taken a liking to, some of their tracks for sure in the past. I don't think I'm a Blink.
That was so funny because you're saying this like with a very sweet and nice way to let someone down without offending them. Like, they're doing good work. If they keep at it, maybe they'll make it somewhere.
I know, but because I have another friend you are also my friend who loves Blackpink. I have another friend who also loves Blackpink, and and he introduced me to the track Playing with Fire, and I thought that was so fun. And I also actually, much to my dismay, have grown to really like the Jenny track, which I remember I was like, it sounds a lot like Rani from Rocky or Rani, sorry. And I think that I was a bit like, I don't think I'm gonna like this, but her performances, I think the choreo honestly made me a little bit more interested in the track. But I think I don't know if I'm wired to be a Blink.
Fair enough.
But I will definitely listen to the songs that you send over to me and say if you think it's a good track or a good music video, I am more than happy to give it a listen.
I appreciate that. Thank you. And I think I need to give a shout out to the OG for me, which is Psy. And he obviously came to fame with Gangnam Style, but even more recently, something like that which featured Suga from BTS. Well, not just featured, but he produced it. I think it was probably my most played song in 2022. It is that catchy. It is just something where it's like, oh, great, it's playing. I never skip it. It's one of those songs that I never skip when it comes on. So it's incredible what he has done for K-pop in general. Have you seen clips of him performing in Korea?
Yeah, it's wild.
It is wild. I think that's one of my dreams, to be honest, to just be a part of that. He comes out on this open arena, right? There's this like T-shaped stage which allows him to walk into the audience a fair bit. It's a packed mosh pit crowd, and I don't know, it's just so hype, right? The I'm sure the intros are getting everyone hyped, and then he jumps out like there's this like springboard that sort of catapults him up onto the stage, and the crowd goes wild, and they're all jumping, and he's dancing, and like water cannons are spraying from everywhere. Honestly, it's like a theme park.
Mm.
That's the best way I can think of it. It is crazy. So I don't know. I think most of his fandom is probably still Korea based, even though he's known worldwide. He is not on the same scale as what Blackpink and BTS do in terms of their music videos now and their appearances at Coachella and whatnot. But yeah, I think Psy deserves a lot of credit for putting K-pop on the map.
For sure. I still remember, like you said earlier, Gangnam Style was one of those tracks that everyone knew. Whether you knew what K-pop was, whether you even knew Korean, like the language, like that was a
Mm-hmm.
track that every single person knew. And you're right. Like I think what's really admirable about him is that he has so much fun when he's doing it.
Yeah.
He's always got a smile on his face. He's a bit of a jokester and a prankster. So even with that, he had told Sugar, you don't have to dance in this or anything. You just have to rap and you produce and whatever it is. And then he managed to like get him to dance. Sugar doesn't enjoy dancing on his good days.
Yeah.
Well, and like Psy has managed to prank him almost into getting him to dance in the music video as well. But he's just got this really joyful, charismatic personality, which I think has made him such a great performer as well.
All right, we've spoken a lot about K-pop, and I think the reason that is because K-pop is probably the largest way we probably connect, if that's true. Although K-dramas, as we did say earlier, are a large part of how we visualize Korea, right? We imagine the world of what it's like to live there through K-dramas and through films. And we've mentioned a few K-dramas already that have become very popular in our hearts. What are the ones that you would suggest someone who's never seen a K-drama before should watch? I mean, Squid Game is very well known around the world. I'm not sure if you're a Squid Game fan or not. And another one that keeps coming up is Crash Landing on You. I think people have talked about that for a long, long time, which, to be honest, I haven't even seen. So what is your opinion on it?
I did watch Crash Landing on You, but I think I watched it after there was so much hype around it. But I think for me, when I watched it, it didn't have as heavy of an impact as it did for others because I was hearing that people were crying every single episode. And I'm a crier in dramas, movies, and everything in between. But I guess I felt like the impact wasn't as huge for me. I loved the fact that the two co-leads did go on to get married. So that was I really enjoyed that
Mm.
part of things. And the story itself was different and something that's not been done before. I think my experience of K-dramas and what I've really liked, I've already mentioned Suspicious Partner. I also really enjoyed Descendants of the Sun, Song Joong Ki in a military outfit. A pandy, like you said earlier, more about
Yeah.
landscapes, but I'm talking about the people. Um, I think in my more recent days, I've watched ones that aren't typically romance driven, even though that's kind of what I've always typically enjoyed. I watched a drama recently called The Good Bad Mother, and that was majority of it kind of was an exploration of the relationship between a son and a mother, and she lost her husband before her son was born and kind of how that changed her as a person and then changed her relationship with her son. And there's obviously like this layer of crime and murder, I guess, that's involved as well. And he grows up to become a prosecutor. But I think that the beauty of this drama is how it explores this relationship, this evolving relationship between the son and his mother, and just that impact that it had on me was huge because I felt like it's like even after he had become an adult, he had had an accident and he had to be taken care of by his mother, and it just showed like because they didn't have such a great relationship at the start, this allowed her a second chance to, raise him again and for him to experience that mother's love. I'm not giving away a story because this is the premise of it and that's what's shared. But I think that, well, as you watch it and you explore it, it's so heart wrenching. And I think for me, anything that reminds me of my mum is is like, it feels nice for me and it makes me feel connected to her. So I think this was one of those things, just so much, how much love and how much effort, and at the cost of her own well-being, this mother takes care of her child. It just felt like such a familiar experience to me, and I really enjoyed it and highly recommend it to everyone to watch. Mm. And I've become a huge fan of Park Jin Young, who is another actor, but he's also an idol. He's from GOT7, another K-pop band,
Oh.
and he is a really good actor. And I watched one of his dramas recently called Our Unwritten Soul, and that as well is a great watch. It's probably not ranked very highly for me, but it's a more recent watch that I've embarked on. And again, it's that visual element. It's the use of lighting to make you feel the emotions that you're meant to, whether it's like a cold lighting and you're meant to feel that sadness, and when it's warm and you feel the love and the romance between the characters. I think that this really captured that well. Um, but if I were to pick my top three recommendations, other than what I have shared, I would say The Glory. It's a little bit gory,
Oh.
but The Glory
Yeah.
I loved.
I haven't seen it. It was, to be honest, it was on my watch list for quite some time, and I kept postponing. I was like, oh, I'll watch it at some point. I'll watch it at some point, and then it somehow dropped off. But I'm really glad to hear that you recommend this because I'll put it back on.
Yes, it's very intense. It explores some very mature themes. But Song Hye Kyo, if I'm saying it right, she kind of came back into K dramas with this, and she made a mark. Like, that was phenomenal what she's done. Um, and my second one I have mentioned already, which is Suspicious Partner. Love it. I think it's just one of my OGs, so I have to recommend it. The last one I'll recommend is Itaewon Class. Again,
Mm.
it's not a typical, romance sort of drama, but the themes that they explore, whether it comes to power, comes to, how your circumstances can lead you towards good or bad, what your upbringing can do to you as a person. Excellent drama. Seo has done very well in that. But I also think it's not just him, the entire cast was really strong, and that plot was explored very well.
Yeah, great shout. Itaewon Class was, yeah, when I watched it, I really enjoyed it too. I remember when Kito and I went to Seoul, we made it a point to go to Itaewon and take a photo outside the restaurant, which I'm sure they didn't actually film it there. But yeah, it's one of those things, right? It's like it was such a good series that you start to be like, oh, I want to go and see that if I can. Yeah, really, really cool. Itaewon Class was really, really cool as well. It's interesting because a lot of K dramas and even Korean films, they tend to feature crime and love quite strongly. You know, whether it be some of the dramas that you named, even films like Parasite as an example, or Past Lives, if you've ever seen that, is just a love story. It's not a fully Korean film. It's sort of like half Korean, half American, but excellent film. I mean, these are all Korean filmmakers making that too, right? An older one would be something like Train to Busan, just like a zombie film. It's a very unique storytelling style. I feel like that Korean filmmakers bring. Not that other filmmakers around the world don't do that, but it's the way that it's like the treatment of crime and love and how it's handled, how a character can be both incredibly loving, but also affected by a life of crime, and how we can root for them regardless of that. They manage that line really well. So that's what I think also sets Korean cinema as a separate genre a little bit, not just because of the pretty pictures and the way that Korean sensibilities are, but also their storytelling.
I could not agree more with you because I think as you were speaking, it made me reflect on what I grew up watching versus what I watch now. And I think when I was younger, my family watched a lot of Tamil movies. And so the heroes in that, it was like, even if they, kill bad guys or if whatever it is that they do, they're just the epitome of good and there's no flaws to them. So you think that all heroes are like that. But I think what shifted when I started watching Korean dramas and Korean films was just how nuanced a person can really be. It's not that they are overtly good, they actually may have some flaws or they may have done something wrong, but it's despite having that, how they overcome, whatever situation they're in, or how they still might have that, but can still be a good or kind person. And I think that's what made it so relatable because it actually reflected what human beings are like. They're not all, perfect. They have certain flaws, they have certain, difficulties and challenges in life that makes them the way that they are, but yet they still survive and they still thrive and they're still loving and kind. And I think that's such an attractive element of Korean cinema.
Yeah, the messaging is has a lot of value alignment for me. I don't think I've seen something where good does not triumph, and I'm very happy with that. I'm okay with every film I watch for good to triumph. That's not true. I think a tragedy is also very compelling, but yeah, it's just nice to always be left with a happy ending of some kind, or at least a satisfying ending. I remember watching this show recently called The Trunk on Netflix. It's a limited series, and it is very sad and depressing for a lot of it, but you do get a sort of some kind of nice resolution at the end. So yeah, I think when that happens, you're left feeling like, okay, good. It uplifted me in some way. And therefore it feels like a good addition or good use of my time. I think, we should leave this episode learning something about, apart from everything we've learned already, learning something to say in Korean. So give us a phrase or a word that we could say in Korean.
It's going to be a very mainstream phrase that everyone's heard of at some point, but it's I love you in Korean. And the reason I'm using this as an example is because I think the Korean language feels very similar in very few ways to Tamil because they also say Oma and Appa and we say Amma and Appa. So for me, it kind of just feels like there's something that connects us. The only thing that's missing in the Tamil language is that there's no actual way of saying I love you. There's a way to say I am in love with you, but no way to actually say I love you. So I think it's beautiful that for me, like the Korean language kind of fills that gap. And so the way to say it is 사랑해. And sarang means love. And I think that whenever I hear that word, it fills me completely because it's what else is there in this world to value other than love? So sarang here means I love you.
Well, that's great to hear. So I will be going to any Blink or Army, and also everyone turn to your Amma and Appa and say saranghae. But more importantly, saranghae to you, Abi, for coming on the podcast. Thank you so much for sharing your time, but also sharing all of your love and excitement for all of this K-pop and K-dramas and K-culture that we both enjoy. And what would you recommend our audience do at this point?
Like, share, subscribe, and tell us the K-drama that you're going to watch in the comments.
Yes, absolutely. So do what Abi said because you'll never go wrong if you follow Abi's advice. And we will catch you all in the next episode. Bye!